The best example that I can think of was a woman came in to me for a herniated disc that was referred from a medical doctor. She was very medical minded, didn't want to see a chiropractor, but her medical doctor told her that she should. And so she came to see me, and she had a child that was not communicating efficiently for his size, was kind of my take on him. And I asked her if he was a big 2-year-old, and she said, no, you're right, he has developmental delay. You know, he's 3, and he's already in a state-sponsored speech program, and they try to teach him 5 words a week, 3 words a week, something very palatable, and it wasn't taking. He was using grunts and noises to communicate. And I asked her about his digestive health, and she wasn't really interested in communicating on it. And I asked her to bring him in, and not interested in bringing him in. I asked her to get a product that was very likely to just dampen inflammation, because it was my strong suspicion that he was inflamed based on the way that he presented, just the way that he looked, his face looked. And she wasn't interested in doing that, and so I gave her a product to rub a phosphatidylserine cream, an anti-inflammatory kind of cream, onto the child's belly just at night. And she came back, that was a Thursday or Friday, she came back either Monday or Tuesday, and was all excited and said, what is that stuff? What is that stuff? And it wasn't, and what I explained was, it's not the stuff. The stuff just showed you the problem. The problem's inflammation. But why he has inflammation, we still have to determine. And so that led us down a process of working with him and making corrective change, and he was kicked out of that speech therapy program. Within 6 months, they had already said he doesn't need this, and it was a profound change in his life and his development. And over just that weekend, he wasn't picking up 2 or 5 words a week. He spoke 50 words that he had never said before, and that's because the speech part of his brain was not hooking up with the speech motor part of his brain efficiently. So he could learn words, but he couldn't make them come out. And so once we dampened the inflammation, they could come out. Once we fixed his digestion, he was able to proceed without real long-term detriment.
Wow. Can you explain a little bit more about how that inflammation gastrointestinally was kind of connected to the whole system?
You have 3 barrier systems in your body. You have a blood-brain barrier, you have what's called the BALT, the bronchial-associated lymphatic tissue in your lungs, and you have what's called the GALT, the gastrointestinal-associated lymphatic tissue. These barriers are barriers between the outside world and the inside world. So when you take something, when one of the barriers is insulted, they all fire up. And so you can't have allergies and have a lot of respiratory inflammation without having brain inflammation too. They go hand in hand.
Right.
Yeah.
So because of this, gastrointestinal issue, it largely disrupted the whole of his system, and largely, resulted in this kind of neurological impairment that once you kind of addressed that key issue, it kind of helped the whole to resolve.
Mm-hmm. It really falls back to neuroendocrine immune and holistic, as looking at a person as a more complicated structure than just the pathways of his brain. Yeah, there was pathways in his brain that were not functioning very well, obviously. But when we took the insulting chemistry away, that was able to fire up.